Welcome to the Low Carb Athlete Podcast, where we focus on discussing topics to help you burn fat, optimize health, and improve performance in life and sports. Transform the whole you from the inside out with the holistic method. Let's dive in. Here's your host, Debbie Potts.
Hey guys, it's Debbie, and I just wanted to give you a quick little message from one of our sponsors, Element. It's spelled LMNT, but pronounced Element. If you haven't heard about this, Element is a tasty electrolyte drink mix with everything you need and nothing you don't. That means there's a lot of salt with no sugar, and it's formulated to help anyone with their electrolyte needs and is perfectly suited for those doing a keto, low carb, or paleo diet. And I think this is great for athletes, especially in the summertime and when you're training in warmer climates. Element contains a science-backed electrolyte ratio of 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium. None of the junk, no sugar, no coloring, no artificial ingredients, no gluten, no fillers. That's it. I like the unsweetened one because the other flavors do have a little stevia, but stevia doesn't do well in my body. So I prefer the unsweetened Element, and I like the packets because I can throw them in my bike bag when I go on a long bike ride or when traveling, and I can just dump a packet in my water, and it keeps me so much more hydrated. Because remember, we don't sweat out water, we sweat out minerals. So check it out. You've got a nice little gift from them if you use our discount code Drink Element. I'll put the link in the show notes. But using the code Low Carb Athlete, you get a free gift with purchase. You get a free Element sample pack with any order when you order with Low Carb Athlete on our special URL code. So support the podcast, support Element. It's backed by science, and we love what they're doing. So try it out. Hey, it's Debbie Potts, and I am a big fan of recovery treatments with red light therapy. I've been using Sunlighten near mid far infrared wavelength sauna for the past year, but I had a sauna in my fitness studio, Fitness Forward in Bellevue, Washington, and closed that 2019, and we moved to San Diego in 2020. So finally got a new sauna down here in 2023. And then I just got this FlexBeam red light therapy device in near infrared heat. And I have been adding that into my evening routine when I swim at lunchtime. I really like to do the sauna, or else I smell of pool chemicals. And then for injuries, different aches and pains, or just actually been trying to use this on my belly, putting this FlexBeam red light therapy near infrared device on my body in the evening too. So I've been working on this little routine a few nights a week, and this really was interesting to me. So I wanted to interview Bjrn, the co-founder and CEO of Recharge Health. He's one of the creators of FlexBeam. This is one of the world's first targeted infrared therapy device. I really like it because FlexBeam, it flexes, and I wanted to learn more and how this accelerates the recovery time for athletes, how it's beneficial for strength athletes and all active individuals, or those who are just wanting to improve the aging process. So we dove into the benefits of red light and infrared therapy, as well as different rabbit holes, because that's what I seem to do lately, is just think outside of the box and put things together and ask a lot of questions. So we went into some information on the protocols and when to use it, how do you know it's working, talking about more information on studies. You can check out their website and their YouTube channel. But they have studies to show it delivers 33% faster recovery after a muscle pull, 75% reduction in muscular skeletal pain, 40% improvement in strength performance, and 30% improvement in deep sleep. So listen in, see if you're interested. Make sure if you are interested in learning more, always get a discount code from me first. And I've been trying to stack this device in the evening when maybe you're hanging out watching a half an hour of TV and even doing my little yoga evening stretch and adding this device onto my arm that I've had a finger tendon issue from cycling this past summer, trying to work the red light on those muscles that are connected to my finger up to my elbow. And then also my belly. Been trying to help with my gut health, testing it out, laying the FlexBeam on my belly for a 10-minute cycle, sometimes 2 sets of that. And then if you have different injuries like a knee or hip, I've been trying it there, depending on what's sore from a workout. But then stacking that with using my Biomat infrared mat. And so just kind of fun to put things together. So we'll talk about different stacks that might help you improve your recovery and repair. So let's dive in. Let me know your questions, comments, maybe feedback of your own experiences with red light and infrared therapy in the show notes. Thanks. All right, guys, I got Bjorn all the way from Oslo, Norway to talk about red light therapy because I'm on a mission to help improve the aging process. And this is something I came across. And Bjorn, you are the expert in Recharge Health, one of the co-founders. So tell us about you and your why to be involved in red light therapy.
Yeah, thanks so much, Debbie, for having me on. I'm glad you could find us. This is, it's been quite a journey to get here. Very briefly told, some old friends of mine that I've known for a long time that do make hardware and electronics and solar cell lamps based in Asia. They came to me with a project. They discovered some research that really amazed them. It was NASA research. There was PubMed papers on the effect of near-infrared light on the physiology of the human body. And when I went through this and was presented with it as well, I was scratching my head and wondered, why haven't we heard about this before? Mm-hmm. This is 5 years ago, and I think even fewer had heard about it then, even though there's actually decades of research on it, and there's quite a lot of science behind it. And realized relatively quickly that the reason people haven't heard about it is because it hasn't really been made available and accessible in a way that makes it super easy to use, so that it becomes much more of a mass market thing. It's something that you can read about in blogs on the internet, and you can buy your own stationary panels or light bulbs or any of these kinds of things, because you hear about the benefits, like a lot of remarkable benefits with this technology. But we saw on the market nothing that really made it just super easy and very powerful, effective for people to use in their daily setting. And that's what we set out to do. We had the capacity to sort of make it ourselves and not go to a factory. And so we created this guy called FlexBeam. This is the world's first portable or wearable form of near infrared and red light therapy. And we decided to take it to market to show that people are going to want this, especially when they learn more about the technology. So fast forward 5 years and I'm here. Yeah.
That's amazing. So did you design it for more athletic injuries because it is flexible, can go around your knee or around your neck or your back or your core, belly?
Yeah, we saw early that one of the sort of key target groups would be athletic people, because of the way it's designed is that it goes straight on your skin. And you can wrap it around any particular area or anything. That means you get a very, very close connection with the device. It means our inventor and the brain behind this was Bjrn Ekeberg, was looking at how much light is actually wasted if you have a panel or a light bulb. If you only have it 3, 4, 5 inches from wherever you're treating, you lose 90% of the energy. So you really need to blast it to get enough power, right? And he saw instead the solution is make something you can wear straight on the skin so there's nothing lost. And you make that as powerful as possible. So you built in fans into it to cool down, because these are actually quite powerful lights. You don't get this kind of effect from just putting in a small LED or something like Surface. You need a certain kind of dose and output. But the way to make it effective is like straight on the skin, straight where it hurts, and nothing wasted. Mm-hmm. That was part of the sort of design philosophy, and we decided to make it ourselves because we couldn't see it made anywhere.
Yeah, because I know the panels I've always heard about for years, and I used to work coaching for Ben Greenfield, and he's famous for, lying naked with his testicles against the red light every morning. That it's just like the panels to have at your desk. To me, it never made sense to get, because it's like, I don't want to sit there and have it, like it's just seeming inconvenient. And then I did get the face mask by another company called Higher Dose 3 years ago to do my face. And it made sense because I can walk around, put the battery pack in my pocket and go about my stuff in the morning while I have my mask on for 20 minutes. So I think functionality and effectiveness is important to get the red light. And this has red light therapy. We can kind of summarize what that is, and near infrared heat, because I know, and it has 3 different levels. So talk about summarize what red light therapy is if people aren't familiar with it, and the near infrared, what it does and how it works, and why would we want it?
Yeah, it's a big sort of umbrella term now, red light therapy. It generally refers to the combination of red and near infrared light. And I guess for context here, I'm sure a lot of your listeners are already quite familiar with this, but the context is all the energy that comes from the sun that we're all exposed to. We live under this, we're under this shielded little bubble in outer space, and there's this giant cosmic force that's blasting at us at all times at full spectrum. And we have a daily cycle, we get reprieve from it at night, but then it's back on again in daytime. And this energy that comes at us, filtered through the atmosphere and everything, is in a full range. It's a full electromagnetic spectrum, where just a very tiny part of that is what we know as visible light. So from blue to green to red light, this is what we see as colors. But most of the energy that comes to us from the sun is actually not in visible light. It is in either the infrared range or in ultraviolet, so on the invisible part of the spectrum. So we don't see it, but we can feel it. So if you ever looked at a beautiful sunset and that nice red glow, that redness, of course, is red, visible red, but the warmth that you can feel on your skin comes from the infrared. So infrared is very much linked to heat. It is a long wavelength, and the further out on the spectrum you go, the longer the wavelength, the more it can penetrate. So whereas red light is very, very useful for treating skin surface conditions. The skin responds by producing more collagen and elastin in the skin. So this is why I think currently there's a boom in cosmetic applications, and you tested one of them, and there's tons of these masks, some of them very cheap and simple because you don't need a lot of power for it to work on the skin. But that is really red light therapy, right? It's treated toward or directed toward the skin. But near infrared is this invisible part of the spectrum that goes much deeper. So with near infrared, you're stimulating at the cellular level. So what near infrared wavelengths can do, and a specific output, is they basically stimulate the mitochondria in your cell. I know you talk a lot about mitochondria also on your show. The energy generators in your cell to produce more energy, to do what the body does best, which is usually to recover from something, to heal something, to improve some sort of natural process. So near infrared is really the key to, for us, we have red light in this as well, but it's for athletes and for the recovery aspect and for getting deep into muscle tissue, like muscles and tissue, and deeper kinds of treatments. Near infrared can help really accelerate that process of repairing muscle to relieve pain, like deeply in the body, and to increase the energy level at the cellular level. So usually when we talk about red light therapy, it means both infrared and red. I think it's going to become increasingly confusing because of these cosmetic applications. We try to emphasize the infrared aspect because that's really the deep penetration.
So how's that different than a sauna? Sorry. A sauna is like, we have a sunlight sauna. It's near, mid, and far infrared wavelength. How is that compared to a red light with near infrared?
So most of the infrared saunas I know are in the far infrared spectrum. That's the most important component, at least of an infrared sauna, because far infrared, then you're in the 1200 to 1500 sort of nanometers. It's like quite far off of the visible spectrum. The wavelength is very long, and it induces, like, it goes so deep into your body that it induces sweat. So part of how infrared sauna has become, very popular is because you get a much more powerful sweating experience, so kind of a detox experience. So near infrared doesn't go quite that deep, but it stimulates at the cell level, and that's why that's sort of optimal for repair. So I think if you have something that what you tried that covers a range, you get different kinds of benefits all packed into one, right? But yeah.
I was trying to use because I had one to demo your FlexBeam in the sauna. So I was trying to stack it.
You use FlexBeam in the sauna. Okay.
Yeah. I put it on my leg in the sauna, and I'm always trying to figure out how the minimal effective dose, how you can stack things. Should I take some NAD beforehand and then do the red light, and how to improve the mitochondria function, but also at a skin level. As I get older, I'm trying to avoid the wrinkles, and skin health is a goal, but also injuries, and how, as we get older, we take longer to recover and repair from workouts. And as we get older, we need to work out harder to get similar results. So we have to do more HIIT intervals, sprint intervals, and heavy strength training as we age, especially for females. So we work out harder, ideally, but we need different solutions to help in the recovery period of time. So this is something that you would add in doing red light, like at the end of the day, or what kind of protocols would you suggest for people that are trying to recover from a hard workout or an injury?
Yeah, from a hard workout, there's two main ways of using it, and they both work in each their own way. One is actually before the workout. So if you're doing like either very like heavy, say, strength training is what there's been quite a lot of studies on. There's fewer on endurance, but it would have a similar kind of effect, especially for if you have some muscles that tend to block, like for runners, for example. If you tend to get the lactic acid in a certain part of the race, like we've tried with several like runners, like half marathon and marathon runners, they would use it, apply FlexBeam before they run, and report that they have more juice left when they get that lactic acid response, that it helps them to have more energy in store so they could perform better. Right. So there's one way, either performance oriented, or of course, if you have some sort of weak spot or injury that you want to prevent an injury from getting worse, is to treat that area beforehand to stimulate more blood flow in the area, and sort of it's kind of a deep form of warm up. So this really depends on what your condition is and what the goals are. But it's popular to use it before, and then it's after as a recovery, like to basically to expedite the recovery process after your workout. So you could do either or both in combination.
Yeah, I just always think it's how to improve your workout performance as we get older. And what are different strategies to try to see, does that make me stronger? Does that make me faster? Because it's all about, to me, as I get older, about getting stronger, getting faster, getting more power, and, avoiding these stereotypes of what happens as you get older. I would say embrace the aging process, change how you train and fuel and recover and repair in a different way than you did when you're 20, 30, even 40 years old, that you have to adapt. And I think this is where we need different strategies and different tools in our toolbox to pull out when we need to up the game a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, a red light therapy is definitely a way to boost the energy that you need at the core, like to basically refuel more quickly at the cellular level, like to shorten that time period that it would take to recover. For that, I think some of the effects, of course, they will vary by individuals, but what we see when we work with athletes, and we have some we have some top athletes that are like our brand ambassadors now that use it. Like in European football, soccer, we have one of the best football players in the world, Bjrn Ekeberg, has been using this for a year now. And in tennis and some other sports.
Are they using it before their workouts or after, or both?
They use it actually combination, but they use it as part of integrated with their physio routine. So one of the things that's most noteworthy about working with like the top elite athletes is they would be embracing this even if it gave them 1% margin, because they're always looking for margins on everything.
That could be a lot.
However, the effects of this kind of therapy, when you do it right with near infrared light, red light combination, you can have much more dramatic results than that. That it's really for everyone or any active person, not just to get that extra second or something. We did a study with a physiotherapist we worked with, or a clinic in Oslo. We've been working with for 2 years that has integrated into treatments. And just as an example, but they could tell us that for a pulled muscle, for example, they saw recovery improvement 30 to 40% faster when they applied this versus like no red light therapy or similar kind of treatments. There's studies showing similar kinds of effects on performance, for example, strength performance, and the 30 to 40% gain, which are almost like incredible. There's talk in some of the scientific papers about how should red light therapy be considered like on the doping list or something, because it can give an advantage if you use it right. Now, I don't want to say that holds for everyone, but my point is that these are more than just tiny marginal gains because you want to compete at that extreme level. These are effects that are significant enough that you are very likely to feel them and to see them result-wise, that they make a dramatic difference, especially if you have an active lifestyle, I think.
Yeah, and that's why I try to tailor our audience is more the fit and active individuals, and talking about things on the show to improve our mitochondria, our metabolic health, and the aging process, that it is going to be, fueling and training is what people are focused on, and they're health optimizers. So they're looking for that 1%, getting the edge, maybe not in their competition, but just, I want to age and be the best version of myself, my second half of my life. And I keep talking about creating my future self now. At 50, I need to be focused on what I want to do at 90.
Right. Okay. Yeah. But that's,
like you're 80, because I'm watching people age. You just see what happens. And like, I don't want to look like that.
No. And then you need many tools in the toolbox, as you say. Right?
Yeah. So can you go into, I think it's interesting because I always want to know how does this work? So if you have red light, if you're putting that against your skin, how does it impact? I don't know if you're able to explain what happens how does it change the mitochondria to create more energy and help heal? Do you know at a cellular level how exactly that happens?
For red light, specifically visible red light, doesn't quite work on mitochondria the same way that near infrared does.
The near infrared, okay.
Surface. Yeah. So for red light, it's much more on the collagen production in the skin. The mitochondrial effect you get from the near infrared light. And how that works is like these, I'm not a big fan of these science textbook diagrams, but I don't know if you know what a cell looks like and what a mitochondria inside of the cell looks like. Anyone
that went to high school probably knows the mitochondria, the little squiggle lines.
Little squiggle lines and this weird sort of weird looking thing that is the cell. That I think we're coming into an age where we'll see much more interesting visualizations of the cell, actually, that we are kind of been limited for a long time. We've had these high school textbooks. There are now imaging technologies that are able to kind of capture what goes on. Cells are just the most incredible part of human physiology when you start looking into it this way. And the mitochondria is just one vital but crucial part of this whole sort of ecosystem that make up who we are. So I am not a scientific expert in this. I've just been reading and learning enough to at least make sense of how this seems to work. It's curiously also, there's not 100% agreement in the scientific community on exactly how it works.
Is there anything they're 100% agreed on? Nothing.
Not enough. I mean, fair enough. All right. But the effect on mitochondria in terms of the ATP output or adenosine triphosphate, the energy currency at the cellular level, that's what seems to be most established, is that it's the mitochondria are responsible for producing ATP. And when they are stimulated, they produce more, which can then be directed back where it's needed. So in a sort of a kind of a holistic or natural view of how the body actually functions, and not like a machine, but as a kind of repair, let's say repairing organism, then it's really the body is expert at finding out what's needed, right? So wherever you put it, like if you get a sort of a systemic dose, some of that energy goes to where it's most needed. When you have a targeted device like what we designed is something that you can just, put it where it hurts. It's like the intuitive, simple idea. But even compared to, if you stand in front of a panel, you get, of course, like your whole body gets light. But even when you do a targeted dose, like straight onto one spot, it will affect your whole system. And certain places you can put it that will actually increase this effect. For example, on your stomach, where you have a lot of light receptors in your stomach.
That was a question. If you want to go into that. So I was going to ask that because I find that fascinating, because I do functional lab testing and the gut biome and gut healing protocols. And it's like, ooh, what happens when you put it on your stomach? Talk about that.
Yeah, so something definitely starts moving, to put it this way. You clearly have, like, just from personal experience in the beginning when I was trying this out, it isn't always clear that it's like how it's working. Right. And you work, one way to use it is obviously, as we talked about, on a specific target spot. You have your weak spot or your twisted elbow or something, and you use it there. When you use it on your stomach, it's much more of a systemic kind of response. So your whole gut system, your whole gut brain axis, the alignment with the microbiome, all of that is affected by the light. So, I mean, this is one of the things I usually tell people who are curious about, does it really do anything? Can you tell if it works?
That's what everyone asks.
Treatment? Yeah. Just put it on your stomach for a day or two, a couple of consecutive days, and be mindful about what happens with your bowel movements the next day and how your stomach feels and all of this. In most cases we've heard and what we know, it's like there's definitely a change going on. And so this light will help support, like, you have so much mitochondria in your gut and in all the vital organs. Like, the organs actually carry the most of the mitochondria in the body, right? So both testes and liver and gut and so on. So this is a way to, with a powerful light straight on the skin that can penetrate 3-4 centimeters in, you can really stimulate a large vital organ in your body.
So you're stimulating the mitochondria. But I wonder if you're stimulating the bacteria, since really your gut, we're the host of these trillion bacteria bugs. So I'm curious, my mind goes to, what if you have like a lot of good bacteria? What does the red light or the near infrared light do to the gut, good and the bad bacteria? What about pathogens? What's going inside there? So when there's a full moon, for example, there's a full moon theory of parasites, pathogens will be more active a full moon. So you do a detox parasite protocol 2 days before and after full moon. So my mind starts going, what if you tied in doing this around a full moon, a 5-day protocol, do kind of a liver sauce to supplement, stimulate detoxification, and a binder that, if this would help in a protocol to help detox any bad guys in the gut, would it stimulate?
Oh, that's an interesting idea. Would you like to do an experiment with us and run a little mini study?
I will. I just totally thought of that because I think of the full moon and how bad guys, parasites, are more active in a full moon. They have Cellcore, for example, company does a lot of the full moon protocols. And so they have supplements to help stimulate that. But I wondered if doing that on your belly, 10 minutes, a couple times a day, would change any type of outcome of getting guys maybe awake. I don't know. I started thinking, does that waken up what's in there and gets biofilm, help it break up so you get the bad guys, and then have a binder to excrete it?
Yeah, I mean, it's more or less in that range. If you think about what's going on, if you use the sort of war analogy in the stomach, that there's good and bad and they're fighting and they're proliferating and so on, what your gut with that whole system is always engaged in, and what it needs a lot of energy to keep driving, is this homeostasis or balance between what the good bacteria are doing and getting the bad ones away, right? That is always going on. So at the most fundamental level, when you kind of energize your body battery or you stimulate it with near infrared light, you are giving your gut more energy to do that job more efficiently. So the outcome of that is going to be promoting good bacteria and getting more efficient and getting rid of the pathogens than you would otherwise be.
Yeah.
Exactly how it plays out in any individual gut is, of course, kind of a guessing or an experimental game. But this effect is pretty clearly established, that it has this kind of positive effect, or it changes the whole energy mix in the core of your system.
Just guess my mind going, okay, yeah. So if it's just like stimulating activity in the mitochondria, but what else does that do to the microbiome? It'd be fascinating. So
it's also one of the effects, I should say, because the mitochondria is the established mechanism by which we can tell it has this sort of impact, and that's clearly the link, scientifically speaking. Physiologically, what this light also promotes is better blood flow and oxygenation wherever you use it. So it's not just that the gateway is through these tiny components in billions of numbers. It's also the whole local area just gets more oxygenated and better blood flow, which then also helps facilitate a lot of the natural physiological processes.
Yeah.
So that's why it can relieve pain in a local area, for example. That's not because the mitochondria go in and zap away the pain. It's because it's literally the inflammation is reduced, blood is flowing more clearly, or like flowing better, and you have more oxygen, which is more efficient, and therefore one of the net effect becomes pain relief.
So getting the oxygen into that area, getting the blood flowing.
Yep, and that will help reduce pain. So the pain effect is not necessarily linked to mitochondria. For example, it's the repair effect that is more of a mitochondrial activity.
So I wonder because we did an episode on nitric oxide, and if you would boost blood flow with a nitric oxide, like they sent me tablets, and then if you do NAD, is big around here, injections of NAD, do it.
Right. Yeah.
Stacking again. I was thinking.
Yeah. Stacking your hacks.
Yeah. Stack your hacks. Yeah. So with people that are just wellness, so the wellness goal, if you're just trying to improve overall health, being a health optimizer, if you're not exercising a ton that you need it for injuries, this where you put it on your belly, would you do anything else? Like, could you put it up higher under your rib cage for your liver? And then more in your small intestine, large intestine, and move it around?
Yeah, I often use it that way myself. It's like liver is like if I can energize that organ, everything moves more smoothly. And so on. So some of the applications around gut health is at the core. It's popular with people who if meditate or try to have a relaxing session. You just add the infrared light or add the FlexBeam to it for 10 minutes, and it just it's both calming and it gives energy to the area. So that's one common application that's not so sports targeted injury focused. But another one that we see a lot and that we are working on with the version 2 to do even better, because we didn't design the device for this, but it's sleep. Yeah. People actually end up sleeping better when they use this at night. And it's something we saw first through case studies and, with people who had Oura rings and stuff and started seeing the pattern.
Have one on you.
Yeah, I have one, but I wasn't the test subject in this case. But we found out very early, that if you just put it over your chest for 10 minutes at night, people report they sleep more deeply, and it shows on their metric. And so there's a couple of reasons for this.
Yeah.
That we think are some of the mechanisms. Some of it has to do with the calming effect around your lung area, something at night. But the red light is also linked to the circadian rhythm and melatonin production, right? So it's actually by using it in the evening and also in the morning. For some people like to use both morning and evening. It helps to somehow reset the circadian rhythm or to adjust it in such a way that you fall asleep naturally more deeply and wake up more refreshed. So in the morning, it's sometimes used for people who can't have access to sunshine in the morning. I mean, you see where you're sitting, it's early morning, but it's bright. You can have that sunshine. But if you don't have that kind of exposure, then being exposed to red light early in the morning is also helpful for melatonin production.
Yeah. Isn't it in the morning, you need the light to help produce melatonin, and then you need it in the evening, the right type of light to help release melatonin in the dark.
Yeah, so that you don't
want
release
blue light.
melatonin when it gets dark and the wavelengths are faded away from the peak blue and toward the red or to the low end of the spectrum, right? Generally speaking. And we are investigating this more because now we have so many case studies on it. It's becoming a sort of a favorite application. So, it's one thing you can experiment with, and sleep is the heart of recovery, really. Because how this technology works, like this device or any device that you would use, the treatment itself is often invisible. Like most users would report that they feel a relaxation in there, there's something happening, but it's not like obvious, like a massage gun that you just drill into your arm that is doing something. The real effect comes the day after, because you go through that recovery mode, your body gets stronger overnight, and then you use it again, and then it's a little bit. So cumulative over time, it produces strength through that recovery process that happens naturally every night, right?
And I wonder if it helps the sleep partially because of if you measure heart rate variability, it's getting you more in the parasympathetic state. So maybe you can see HRV test at the same time to see if it improves your HF versus LF score on your HRV test, which you can do with, I use Sweetbeat Life, that you can see the LF to HF real time if you wear a chest strap, but it'd be good to see testing and figuring out, okay, because I know everyone always asks, like, how do I know it's working? How do you know it's a quality red light? Because now there's so many products out in the market of red light neuroinfrared therapy, but how do you know it's doing anything? Someone like acupuncture, I don't feel anything because I have a client that always says, try this, didn't feel a thing, try this. How do you know it's working? Wasting my money. So figuring out how you can have some type of baseline data, some information.
Right.
Okay, this is like an injury. My finger's been swollen for a month. What if you have an area to compare? But I think it's, how do you sell to people to test how it works? Like you just
but it's a challenge that's sometimes referred to as the benefit gap, in that there is like a small gap between you applying it and knowing exactly what the outcome is. I mean, this holds for all kinds of treatments, really. The massage gun gives you the feeling that it's doing something, but are you really more relaxed, and are your muscles better the next day? I mean, there's also this aspect. But to be honest, this is one of the reasons why we focus on injuries and sport and active people who really know how to feel the difference. Yeah. Because the most obvious results that we see consistently, and we sold 18,000 of these now. We have a lot of customers and a lot of feedback and a lot of users, right? And we're building community groups for them and so on to accumulate more of this feedback. And what we see is the more people, the more you use it over time, the more obvious the benefits become. But if you're looking for the sort of the definitive, oh my God, it's really working, this aha moment, and we see this happens, this is part of the cycle for any new user. It's most obvious with an acute injury, something that's relatively fresh, like a pulled muscle, for example. It is most definitely, you're going to notice that people come back to me after, they try it for, they do a football match or something and get hit with something relatively fresh. And then they use that, and then they really notice the difference. And, then they become kind of, they start using it all the time for all kinds of things. And, I think it makes sense that you sometimes have to pass through this phase of really noticing. But in most cases, what it does for your health, there is no doubt that it's working, but the direct link is not always there. I think it's more pronounced that you would find in supplements, for example, but you have you have a similar challenge in that space where you can get things that are obviously good for you, but can you really feel the results? I mean, you're probably micro-testing this too. I don't know. What do you do to isolate exactly whether something is working or not?
It's hard. I mean, I think everything you have to be consistent and have something that, supplements you have to take for say 6 weeks to see if it's made a difference. So you don't know. And I think people in FDN as practitioners, we are supposed to sequence and titrate. So you're, start with one, see how you feel, how's your reaction, then add in the next one, and then, get to the dose you want. But I think so many people just take so many things. And this is my challenge in the industry, is that everyone just thinks it's one size fits all and not personalizing what do you actually need and what's effective in supplements and nutrition and whatnot. But I think red light and near infrared light therapy that makes it easy to do wherever you are and take with you. I think that's something that people can do for everyone, not have this supplement that, okay, do you really need it? But everyone would need, I think, near infrared therapy and benefit from it, because we're all getting older. And if you want to live youthful and be simply ageless, you have to do certain things to optimize your aging process.
Yeah. And so there's our design philosophy when we set out to make this device is, what's the best red light therapy device? It's the one you use the most, because that's the way you get results if you are consistent. And there's lots of good panels out there that have similar wavelengths and similar kind of output. So in terms of just the pure technology, I will never talk that down, because these really work for a lot of people. But in practice, you have to consider, after you have your sort of honeymoon with this new technology and you build your own space in the basement and take your clothes off to stand in front of the panels like Ben Greenfield or anybody else, like you could do that whole setup and do it yourself at home. But will you be consistent over time when you always have to sort of get naked in front of a panel in a room and go in and do your dose? I think you're more likely to use it if you can also drive a car while using it, or cooking, or of course relaxing would be nice, but you don't have to like undress. You get the consistency by applying it all the time. And an important factor is also like the most distinguishing factor. Like if you're looking for like what to, which device to buy, and as you say, there's a jungle of stuff out there, you really have to be mindful about the output, because dosage is the whole key thing. If you get too little, it's not really going to have an effect. It's not going to do anything. And if you get too much, it's also not going to have an effect. It's not a bad thing to get too much in terms of side effects. It's just your body will adapt. So there's a small window, a dosage of like the optimal dosage that will give you that kind of response. And that's why we said this is 10 minutes, 10-minute program. And usually that's one dose is often enough for one
You don't
area.
need to do it like 10 times a day.
No. But what happens with people, I see this so often, who then discover have their eureka moment when they really feel that, oh God, this is doing something. Then they start using it for like an hour a day or 2 hours a day, because they think more is better.
Yes.
Right?
That's my problem. People think, not my problem personally, but my problem in our world, in this more than, biohacking world, but health optimizers, they cold plunge, sauna, fasting is driving me nuts. Now it's zone 2 training or HIIT training and keto, carnivore, whatever it is. Everyone does everything. It's good for you. More is better. But it's that Goldilocks effect. I would say not too much, not too little. What's the right dose to create that positive effect? And if you do something so often, it was effective when it was just a little dose, but now you're doing it an hour every day. Is that really going to give you the same results, or you're going to get more results? Less is more is my mantra. More is not better for everything.
Yeah, I mean, it produces the stress response at the cellular level called hormesis. That is an effect known from, if you have it with training. It's the same kind of principle. So if you go for your long run and, you run for an hour and you thought that was great, would you go back and run 3 more hours back to back? Will you then get more endurance? Probably not, because your body will sort of just kind of be overstretched and like won't actually have, like you will do too much for your body to recover efficiently to get stronger. Right. So it doesn't, doing FlexBeam for an hour, 2 hours a day is, we see this a lot. That's when people don't get results. Yeah. They just overuse it.
Well, that's the type of people we work with. It's a high performer individual that's looking for whatever they can do to get the edge on their competitors or improve their aging process and they hear about these things, and then someone else said, oh, this did this to me and this did that, so they're going to do it, and then it's just like excessive amount, and that keeps just nonstop. But I think if people realize the right amount is going to help you get results, doesn't mean it works so great and then you need to do it so much. But once a day, 10 minutes is a cycle. Is it good to do it? You said morning and evening, a 10-minute cycle. A lot of times I hear 20 minutes. So is it 10 minutes is effective?
I'd say 10 to 20 minutes, analogous to take 1 or 2 capsules if you're going to do like dosage. It depends a little bit on what you're treating, if it's in one area or two, or if it's really acute and you need something extra. But doing 50, 60, 70 minutes of treatment within the same day is probably not going to help you.
Yeah. So it says, I'm just looking at my notes, but just do it every other day when you start, 3 to 4 weeks, then every day, and then break. So should you cycle it in and out, like take a break and then like take a week off and then start it again? Is it good to cycle it in and out?
Yeah, we have like multiple protocols that we give along with FlexBeam and are part of our support site set up by Dr. Zulia Frost, who's like a medical doctor who's part of one of the founders of the company. It's developed protocols for these specific kinds of conditions where often the advice is to cycle in and out and to follow that specifically. But in general, you can use it every day, but it's good to sometimes take breaks in the same way that it's good to train and do exercise every day, but sometimes just have a break for your body so that it's more effective. Overall, it's a daily routine, and whether it suits you to do it sort of both morning and evening, or 20 minutes in the evening, or whenever it suits, that's really an individual preference and depends on what kind of goals you have and what kind of what it is that you're wanting to improve.
I took this funny picture. I didn't set it up. It's just how it was. But our family room, the ottoman has this TV tray that you keep, your blue blocker glasses and your remote control. And then it had the HyperIce gun, the ball, vibrating ball, HyperIce. And then it had my FlexBeam and my red light mask. It's like, whose house looks like this? And you have the Normatec boots over there and my biomat and all my toys that you have as a health optimizer, I guess. It's funny.
Yeah, the normal household. I think it's more and more people like you are discovering these things as well and experimenting with it. It's not quite yet mainstream, but it's definitely, I've seen a huge awareness shift since we started this like 5 years ago. Biohackers were our first audience for this because they tended to know about red light therapy from before. But the interest in health optimization has become much wider, I think.
Well, I think people as Huberman Lab podcast has gone like viral. And I think he's really created a lot more interest in the world of health optimization, and Dr. Peter Attia as well. And so, because I know people that never really listen to podcasts and into health and fitness and sleep and stress and mental health, and now they're listening to Huberman. So people like that, getting people around the world interested is just pretty fascinating. That, people are going, oh, right, I need not to have alcohol every night. Alcohol impacts my sleep, or I need to, work on my sleep hygiene routine and health and recovery. So I think slowly we might be getting there to a little bit more than the 1%, but
yeah, no, for sure. I mean, we see there's a shift in how health is no longer something you would necessarily go to your doctor for, or something you kind of find out your own solutions, where like people are open to solutions outside of that. And we see it in sports that we work heavily towards now. I think a few years ago, there wouldn't be many biohackers in sports, but a lot of these biohacking techniques are now popping up and being used by, including Martin Ødegaard, our ambassador. You just you take this up, things that work, you implement it into your practice.
Well, I think I was watching football, American football on TV the other night, and it had the guys on the sideline using the HyperIce gun. And so it just shows that how everyone kind of mainstream will see the HyperIce gun, massage gun has gotten to be so huge. I would think, the red light near your device is a good example of that. Could be sold in stores, and, people start paying attention, like, oh, they're doing that. I need that.
Yeah.
So I think you see more athletes.
That's what we are working on. It's with the massage gun, it is that much more obvious sort of immediate effect. But what we see in usage patterns, because we follow this quite closely, is with massage guns, it was a bit of a sales phenomenon, and it's a bit of a sort of the new cool gadgets. It costs around the same as a FlexBeam. If you get a premium gun, it's a similar price. It's an expensive thing.
Exactly.
People use it very quickly and also tend to very quickly put it in the drawer somewhere, unless you're a professional athlete who need to use it all the time and can't afford a massage therapist. Right? But for a regular person, this is the pattern that we see, is that it tends to fade after you first got it.
Yeah.
Now with FlexBeam, we kind of have the opposite curve. It is that benefit gap that we just talked about that makes people a little bit like, I got to try it out a little bit and test it out for a few days. And I'm like, what does it do? I'm not sure. It seems to be. And then they catch on and it becomes obvious. And then they keep using it.
Yeah.
So for us, a lot of the focus is getting that into, if you just can get it into a habit, then we have, a lot of our community and the reviews we get and testimonials is from people who just use it consistently. Maybe they bought it for a specific problem, but then they find out they can use it for all kinds of things, and it becomes just a household tool.
Yeah.
So we want to create something, the next version, that is even more accessible and easy to use, and in a household that is just the kind of appliance you would just have it at home, because it's kind of a medical doctor / go to the gym buddy / relaxing friend at night if you set it up the right way.
Yeah, I'm going to try that sleep one. That's interesting. So you can't put it on your face, though. So you can't just wear the eye goggles and put on your face. Is it too intense for the face?
No, you can use it on your face. We suggest to have a few, like 3-4 inches away from the face, because otherwise you also don't cover the whole face. It certainly works for that application. Like, there's no need to buy an additional face mask if you use the setting 1 here, or the red light in the FlexBeam. But we didn't design it for this purpose, so it may just be easier to put a mask on than to hold the FlexBeam in front of your face for 10 minutes. But the effect will be just as good, if not better, from the light you have here.
Yeah, so you don't want to strap it on ear to ear, wrap it on your face.
I think it's just going to be uncomfortable.
Yeah,
it's not really designed for that. But it's not. It's not then a dangerous thing or anything. The only thing we say is don't stare into the lights. Like with the infrared light can change the blinking response because it's invisible. So therefore, if you stare for a long time, analogously to if you stare at sunlight, it's probably not advised for a long time either.
Like eclipse.
Yeah, sort of like this. I mean, it would take a lot to burn away your eyes, to put it this way. It's not like it's like a super dangerous thing, but it's why we put goggles in. If you want to treat something over your face, it's just safer to close your eyes and use goggles.
I think my own computer screen has been damaging my eyes, so I'm trying to wear my daylight blue blockers because my eyeballs are burning. So I think a computer will do just as much damage if you're on it.
There's a lot of lights. There's a lot of artificial lighting out there that does a lot of things that we don't quite know.
Yeah, so, I can tell. My eyes don't work. So lastly, the programs on it, there's 1, 2, and 3. And so it says skin program. You do level 1, small joints and stomach, program 2, and then large joints and deep-seated muscles, level 3. So just talk a little bit. Those are 10-minute cycles, and the depth of it changes with the 3 different levels of program?
Yeah, it has to do with the ratio of red versus near infrared light. Okay. As we talked about, red is really beneficial for the skin, and near infrared penetrates into tissue and muscle tissue. So program 1 has much more red light than near infrared, and program 3 has much more infrared than red light, so that you get more, a more powerful infrared dose on setting 3 if you need to really dig deep. And if you want to treat your face, it's going to be more effective with setting 1 that is much more for the skin level. And 2 is something of an intermediate. It's a much of both. So if you're ever in doubt about which one, you can't really go wrong with setting 2.
Meet in the middle.
In the middle, yeah. It's like that.
You want little 1, you want little 3, choose middle.
Yeah. Good. And the setting 2 has a very nice pulsation built into it and stuff. So it's a little bit different from a panel, but it would have the similar kind of combination of wavelengths at equal strength.
Okay. And then the program 3, I could feel it heat. The more the heat, the program 3, it felt like a deeper the
Yeah,
infrared.
it goes deeper. It's more powerful,
Mm-hmm.
and definitely what you would go to if you have something like deep tissue, or you want to reach into, for example, a knee joint or an elbow joint. And this is one of those. The way in which the device is designed, that you can shape it, means you get light from. You can flex it, and you can get light in from 3 different angles to the same spot.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so you're able to treat more deeply inside than you would with a panel or just one bulb.
Yeah, I'll try that in my elbow, because that's this finger thing. It comes from here.
It's
pulling here. So it's this whole line. So I just been laying my flex on here, my forearm, but it's actually this little tendon starting in here that pulls the finger. So it's always never really where it hurts. It's fine where's the connection above or below that. So
does that constrict the blood flow, or
yeah,
the
it's
neural
like my finger's ready to blow up. It's purple, but it's from bike riding, and then everything you do, driving your car, your hands like that, but it's in lifting weights. And so it's interesting. My experiment, you're asking me how I use it, has been trying to get that to release and doing active release technique with it. Mm-hmm. But doing that, see if it helps it. And then ice. Do you stack it with ice? Or I know like you're in Finland is next to you, that they're all into the sauna and ice baths. Is that kind of over in Norway popular too? If you do the infrared and near infrared, and then
like sauna is also here increasingly popular. It's definitely Finland is the center of the universe of sauna.
Yeah, Finnish
sauna culture. I know a lot of people who swear by the sort of the combination, so not at the same time, but first ice bath or first into the snow, which, according to the biohackers I talked to, it opens up somehow the pores and the skin and everything, and makes you more receptive to the red light.
Okay, so cold first.
So cold first, and then the warming light then gets to penetrate more deeply. And
then would you finish on cold again? So with the hot cold sauna thing, do you like end on cold? Do you end on hot?
Well, I'm not the authority here. I would
experiment. Yeah, I'll have to figure that out. I know that's always the thing when people do the sauna and cold plunge, back and forth intervals or in the shower. So right. Do you end on cold or do you end on hot? I forget. So, all right. And we'll put everything in the show notes. So I thank you for all your information and answering all my crazy questions. And we've got lots of information to put in the show notes. Anything else you want to add?
No, thank you for experimenting and sharing your thoughts with the community and spreading also, I guess the positive message of health. And one of the reasons I ended up doing this thing full time and running along with this is I find there's a special kind of purpose in trying to get people to know that there is actually things out there that can really help them that they haven't heard about. And getting this word out in otherwise an ocean of pharmaceutical solutions or quick fixes and stuff like this. It's part of the founding vision of the company is to reach out, and we rely on people like you as well to help spread the message or spread the light, so to speak. Yeah, so I'm really grateful for that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was my other question. I won't ask now, but I'll just say how you can apply this to people healing I just was asking a naturopath or he's a medical doctor, but how you could tie this into someone's protocol when they have a liver disease and put that on, because I'll have to tell Dr. Minkoff, I just interviewed him and he has this place in Florida and does hyperbaric chamber and IV and all this stuff. And I was asking him about a family friend that has a weird protein, in some big name in his liver. And I was thinking, well, what if you could put that on liver? Because doctors just tell you, okay, you're going to die in 2-3 years, take this medication. So I would love more integrative approach in these different type of devices to help people improve their end of the years of life or improve a disease, whatnot. Be interesting what comes about for you guys as you expand to not just the athletes, people that are into this, but just other health areas.
Or like regular people. And it's there's a whole lot of things we take for granted, which is why the health space is the way it is to some extent. We take sunlight and the energy we get from the sun for granted because it's just there. Another thing we tend to take for granted is the effect, like Sorry, I lost can we cut that part? I sorry, I lost it.
It's funny. But
Yeah.
I think the sunlight and just natural abilities of healing our body, I think is an important part. And like your name of the company, Recharge Health, it's like, that's what we're working on. Like, how can we recharge our health to improve the aging process? And that's why I would say recreate yourself now to create your future self. So recharge is a good word.
Yeah, and that's part of, we put the mission in the name because one of the things we take for granted or we don't think about very often is that our bodies are a battery. I've used the term before, and we tend to think of it as a metaphor. And when I first got started, it was like, oh yeah, that's like a metaphor, but it isn't. Your body actually is a battery. And the energy that runs through it, through electrons and ATP as the central currency of this whole system. So when you ask about the liver, will it work on the liver? It's like you put this on the liver, you're literally energizing that part of your body. So of course it is going to help in some way. Like you're literally giving the body the energy to be more efficient. And it took me a long time to wrap my head around like why this whole battery metaphor, and that it's actually real, and that's what our bodies are made of. And it makes me curious why we tend to think of the body in such a functional, like non-integrative way.
Yeah.
Because when you start thinking about energy this way, and that this is what the lights produce, it all makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Holistic.
Yeah. But we still face the challenge that most, especially in the established medical community, would be like light. It's like, how can light do something? It's only meds that can do something. Like light cannot be medicine.
No, I know, it kills me.
But it has this capacity. Was like that was the breakthrough for me that got me involved in this, to realize that light can be so effective, and that energy that comes from the sun has these effects on us. That's what we take for granted all the time.
I know. So true. Yeah. But it also reminds me of grounding, earthing, walking barefoot on the grass, or I moved here so I can go to the beach in Del Mar, Solana Beach, walk on the beach and get grounding with your feet, the negative ions from the earth, and how you can recharge your body just walking into the ocean water on bare feet in the sand. So it's amazing how we can do all these different things that are natural, just the earth, the water, heat, sun, all that. It's amazing. So it's the elementals. That's what I'm trying to think of. All right. So I'll let you go. Could talk for hours on all this stuff. So I'll put all the links in the show notes, and hopefully people can try it out. And you guys are I must say, I wasn't trying to sell this, but it is so affordable. It's the most affordable device I've ever seen. And for the in terms of power and value, I think you can find cheaper lamps, but they're not going to be that effective. We think it's a good deal. We'll give a good deal for your audience if anyone wants to try it out as well, that you put in the show notes. Okay. Yeah, I will. And test it out for yourself. Yeah. We have, not to sound like a salesman at the end, but we have a 60 day money back guarantee. You can try it for a couple of months and see if it works for you. Yeah, love that. Good. All right. Well, I'll let you have your evening. Have a good weekend. And thanks for your time today. Thanks so much for having me on, Debbie. Cheers.
Hey, my fellow aging endurance athletes, just a reminder, if you like what you listened to today, make sure to share this episode with your community. Head to debbiepotts.net to set up a free discovery call to learn more about my personalized coaching programs, especially if you are on a mission as myself to improve the aging process and start training to be my best self when I am 80, 90 years old. So I am on a mission to live my best life and be my best self the second half of my life. So if you're on the same mission as me, head over to my website and YouTube channel to learn more ways to improve the whole you from the inside out with the holistic method. Hey, if you like what you're listening to, you can check out our YouTube channel and watch our interviews and learn a little bit more. You can head to the website for FlexBeam. It's on recharge.health, and you can check out their products of FlexBeam on that website. You can use our code LowCarbAthlete and save $60 on your own device. And
it's really a revolutionary recovery device using this targeted red light therapy designed to help really repair and recover faster, as you learned in our interview today. But I think you need to try it yourself. I've had my clients add it into their routine. And again, it's an N=1 experiment, what works when you need it, and just really learning how to improve your aging process and recreating yourself now so you can be your best version of yourself when you are older. Your future self, when you are 80, 90, 100 years old, how are you going to be moving around? And I think this is a great device to add into our routine as athletes and aging athletes. So check out the website. Again, it's recharge.health, and go to their products, and then you can find FlexBeam. Let me know what you think. Enjoy.
Thanks for listening to the Low Carb Athlete Podcast. If you have any questions, feedback, or topic suggestions, let us know on Facebook or at debbiepotts.net. You can help us continue and grow by leaving a review on iTunes. Thanks again, and see you next time.